Hello again, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of my comparison video between the Elder Scrolls Online and the World of WarCraft. In this episode, part 2 here, we'll be taking a look at the basic mechanics and controls of each game. If you're already familiar with one of these games, you can most likely skip any of the sections involving the game you're already familiar with. As well, I'd like to apologize for the massive delay in getting this video out. I lost my voice for over a week, and I've had a chronic cough for a while since then. And after a doctor's visit, I found out I have asthma now, work-related. So, not the best news to find out, and no wonder my lungs and throat have not been in the best condition. But, now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I've finally had some time to complete the final recordings for this video. Let's get her running! Starting off first with the World of WarCraft this time around, the basic user interface consists of several things on screen. You have your character portrait up on the top left, displaying your health and your resource pool. You can right-click on it for a few more options. You have a social panel, chat log, combat log, options for macros and emotes, etc. You have, by default, the bottom action bar here that you can place abilities and items and such onto, but you can add others through menus in the game, like the ones on the side here. You have a quest tracker. At the top here are buffs applied to your character, and you can also have, here, you will find debuffs that appear on your character. Your location marker, a world map button, the calendar of events for the game, your mini-map, and a world clock will show up. You will also have down here in the bottom right access to your inventory slots, your bag space, and you'll have your main game menu as well as several other key portions of the game, including your personal inventory of what equipment you are wearing at the time. There's far too many other windows to explore in the meantime. You will just have to experiment and find them out for yourself. And as well, if you're starting the game for the first time, the game will obviously have some tutorials available to you. Let's move on now and see what the Elder Scrolls Online has to offer. The default user interface for ESO goes for a very minimalistic approach. The top of the screen has your compass, which shows what direction you're facing, as well as important areas of note. The top right contains your quest tracker, and the bottom left will contain your chat panel, which will close when it's not active at the time. Everything else is hidden. So if you were to bring up, say, your character panel, you'll be able to see the more important stats about your character. The top left here will contain your experience bar, and up here will be all the different panels that you can access, such as your skills or your inventory. If you mouse over another character or player, you'll see their health bar and name appear just below the compass. As for your own health, stamina, and magicka, they are hidden if they're full. So if I were to gallop around on my horse here and use up some of its stamina, then that panel will show. Or if I jump down this staircase and take falling damage, my health bar will appear, as well as magicka just to its left. That's about all I can think of to showcase for the ESO for its user interface at the moment. Coming back to the World of WarCraft, we'll just take a look at the basic character movement controls and basic combat controls for the game. To move your character around, you can simply use the WASD and arrow keys, as demonstrated here. You can also jump by using the spacebar, or sit by using the X key. Now if you want to look around, you can just hold down the left click on your mouse and then drag your cursor around, and you'll be able to get a good look at your surroundings. If you do the same with the right click on your mouse, your character will turn to face in that direction. And if you do that while using the WASD or arrow keys, your character will move around and move wherever you guide the mouse. So it's a much more fluid way of controlling your character. When it comes to combat, you can just simply left click on an enemy and then begin whatever abilities you have, like say this Scorch ability at number 1. If you want to deselect anything that you have targeted at the time, just left-click anywhere on the ground. Now, if you want to just immediately get into combat with something, let's say you have a ranged weapon, or you just want to already be swinging your sword as you run up to the enemy, you can right-click on them, and as you approach them, you will automatically start swinging at them. World of WarCraft offers a tab targeting system as well, so if I back up and I hit the tab button, I'll be able to select whatever is within a cone field of vision in front of me. All characters have an automatic melee attack, but the bulk of the game is reliant on your abilities down on the bottom of the screen here. Let's move on now to the Elder Scrolls Online. The basic controls in ESO are as such. You can move your character around with your WASD or arrow keys while also looking in the direction you wish to move with your mouse. You can sprint as well in the game to make your basic running speed a little faster. You can also jump and stealth. Any character in the game is capable of stealthing. You can target an enemy by simply looking at them with your reticle. And unlike in the World of WarCraft where you have auto attacks, in ESO it's more of an action-oriented game. So if you wish to do a light attack, you just left click. If you wish to perform a heavier attack, you hold down the left click. You can supplement in combat with the abilities available at the bottom of the screen there, as you can see, by selecting skills in the game. You can also block by holding down the right click, and you will block with whatever is in your offhand at the time. It doesn't have to be a shield, it can be anything. And while you're blocking, if you perform an attack with the left click, you will actually bash your enemy, which is a good way of interrupting them. Another way of getting out of an AoE attack or similar situation, you can double click one of your movement keys and your character will perform a dodge roll. Let's take a look at professions now in the World of WarCraft. There are 2 primary professions and 3 secondary professions you can gather up. You can hit the P button and then move over to professions here to take a look at what's available to you. For secondary professions, you have cooking, fishing, and archaeology. For your primary professions, you can pick 2 of them, and it doesn't matter what you pick, although a lot of the time you'll want to pick something that works with the other. So blacksmithing and mining are a good combination if you're starting out your first character. You can click on the blacksmithing symbol here, and you'll see a list of things you can make from recipes you've acquired throughout the world. And you'll see all the ingredients required to craft that item. I don't have all the ingredients available for this item, but if I move down here, I do have the ingredients available here. So in order to craft that, I'll just need to hit the create button, but there's one catch. I require an anvil. In some cases, you'll require tools to be on your person as well. So I have in my possession a portable anvil, but in most cases, you will need to find a static anvil somewhere in the world. So let's go ahead and hit the create button now. Now you will have crafted the item. But since blacksmithing is dependent on having the ingredients you need, you will also need to gather up the ore required. So in order to do that, unless you are planning on buying it from other players, you will want to pick up the mining profession then, and there is a deposit ahead of me which is tracked on my minimap due to having the mining skill. So if I right click on that monolite deposit, I will gather it up. That's about the basics of all you need to know for crafting in the World of Warcraft. Let's move on now and see what the Elder Scrolls Online has for its own crafting system. Crafting in ESO isn't as simplistic as it is in World of Warcraft, but it's far more open to any character. You can basically start with any profession that you want right off the get-go without needing to hit up a trainer or anything like that in World of Warcraft. In WoW, you're limited to 2 primary professions, which you are locked into unless you unlearn that profession and start a new one from scratch, whereas in ESO, you can just have all professions at all times. You have alchemy, blacksmithing, clothing, enchanting, jewelry crafting, provisioning, and woodworking. And as for collecting the ingredients and parts and everything you need, you don't need any specialized tools like a mining pick or anything. You can just walk right up to this ore here, and you can immediately start to mine it. Now, as for the actual crafting itself, you will need to look for crafting stations. Most of them can be found in major cities and towns scattered throughout the world, although throughout the world you will find in some odd to find locations these specialized crafting areas which allow you to build set items. You'll also need to find these special stations like this jewelry station and this clothing station here. There will be woodworking and blacksmithing. Let's take a look at blacksmithing here. When you want to start, you'll need at least minimum of 10 ore for this. So you would just select some there and then refine the ore. At which point you'll gain a few ingots and some other blacksmithing materials that might have been found in the ore. At that point, I'll just demonstrate with iron here, I can make currently a level 1 axe, which is part of a set, as I noted before, with the location that I'm crafting in. You'll find different types of sets scattered throughout the world. If you add more ingots, you can level up this iron axe here to level 14, but that's the cap for iron. Once you hit up steel, it begins at level 16 and works its way up to 24, etc., through all the different ranks of ingots. You'll need to select a style material. Currently I don't have too many on me from the basics, except for Imperial Nickel here, but if you look at the axe here, the type of axe changes depending on the material you're about to select. As well, you can add special traits. Like I can have an axe that increases my healing done if I like, or increases my critical chance, or gain extra experience from kills or physical and spell resistance, make it a tanking item, etc. So let's go ahead and craft this. It can also be noted that you can deconstruct any item that you find, even just random ones you pick up off the ground, to get the base, well, not all of the base materials. It'll be selected at random. There's a chance you might get nothing from it. There's a chance you could get back a good amount of what went into making it. You can also research those different traits I was showing you. You don't know them off the start. You have to find weapons that have them and research that so you know how to make it at a later point. And now that I've made that axe, I can level it up. I can level up its quality from normal to fine. So it would go from 346 damage to 382. And it will also improve the defending trait that I have on it. And you can level these up from normal, fine, superior, epic, and legendary. If you really feel like rolling a twink character at level 10, say, you could have a level 10 decked out in nothing but level 10 legendary equipment. It's all up to you. It's not as simplistic as World of WarCraft, but you can tailor your equipment to your needs and to fit the unique character you've created for yourself. That's about all I can think of to show right now for ESO's crafting. In the World of WarCraft, your character is bound to die at some point, whether falling off a cliff to gravity or just getting overwhelmed with enemies. It's bound to happen at some point, and if you're unfamiliar with how the game works, then we'll take a quick look at how you recover from death. Upon your death, you have access to a recap that shows what was the killing blow and maybe some of the other factors leading up to it at that point. You can have your spirit remain in your body and not hit the release spirit if you're playing with friends who may resurrect you, or if you have other special abilities. Otherwise, you'll want to hit release spirit. you will be teleported, your spirit will at least, to the nearest graveyard, where it's possible to talk to a spirit healer and resurrect right then and there, but you will suffer penalties for doing so. The game will encourage you, of course, to travel back to your body. So in your spirit form, you will have to travel right back to your corpse. I have it right here in this clearing, and once you get within a certain distance of it, you are able to resurrect. So you do not have to resurrect right over top of your own body. Let's take a look now at how the Elder Scrolls Online handles the situation. And now for how ESO handles death. The game provides you with a recap of what killed you, and then you have the option of reviving right where you died, or at the nearest way shrine. Reviving where you died requires having a full soul shard on you. Let's take a look now at the different modes of transportation available to you in the World of Warcraft. Aside from your own character and the mounts that they have, you have access to a Flight Master, which, when clicked on, will give you an option of several different flight paths that you have unlocked in your travels. It will require travel time to reach these locations, but it will be significantly faster than traveling on your own on foot. Another option you have available to yourself is a Hearthstone. It's in your inventory when you start your character, and it'll be set to a predetermined location in the game where you started, but once you arrive at an inn, you can talk to an innkeeper and key your Hearthstone to that inn, so that when used, you will always teleport back to that inn. Other options, scattered throughout the world, are portals, such as this location here, which has several portals available taking you to predetermined locations out there in the game world. One of the more older transportation methods in the game are boats, or zeppelins if you're on the Horde side. These also travel to a predetermined location, and you must wait for travel times. Sometimes when you arrive at a harbor, there may not be a boat there, but give it some time, the boat will arrive. Wait for a few minutes at the destination, and then travel again on to the next one. As you can see, the boat hasn't arrived here at the moment, but this one has. Alright, let's take a look now at how you get around in the Elder Scrolls Online. Taking a look at how you traverse the world in the Elder Scrolls Online, as you can obviously move your character around and also utilize your mount, which also has its own stamina meter for sprinting. You have access to a teleport. You can select any way shrine and certain other locations like this one called the Harborage, and if you were to click on one of these, you can automatically teleport yourself to it from anywhere in the world. It just requires a little bit of time, just a few seconds. It does cost a fee though to teleport from anywhere in the world, so you're best off traveling to a way shrine and then clicking on another way shrine, which will make it completely free. You don't need to take any taxis anywhere like in World of Warcraft, and as you can see, there are way shrines available all throughout the game world, as well as your own home or other similar locations in the game, including dungeons which you can fast travel to at will, once you have learned of their location, I believe. For the final portion of this video, we'll be taking a look at the learning curve of each game. World of Warcraft is a fairly accessible and easy to pick up and start playing game. It'll start you off with tutorial prompts on your screen, letting you know the basics of picking up and completing quests, moving your character around and checking your world map, etc. As you progress through the game and you come across new features that you haven't seen before, a quick prompt will usually appear on your screen, letting you know what to expect. And in the game's later stages, where it can almost be overwhelming with what's available to you at times, it's never that difficult to figure out what you have to do, as many of the game's mechanics are fairly similar, even if no tutorial prompts up in late game. As well, if you have any confusion about what to do in a city, where to find certain things, you can also talk to city guards who can give you directions. Let's take a look now at the Elder Scrolls Online. When you first start The Elder Scrolls Online, you'll be given the option of entering a tutorial level, which will basically guide you through the basics of the movement and controlling of your character, as well as interaction with the environment, managing your inventory, interacting with people and items, etc. And as you level up and progress through the game and you encounter new things like how to level up, of course, and gain your skills, it will give you a quick tutorial on how to do that. And as for crafting tutorials, there are usually some books found near a crafting station in the major cities that will guide you on the basics of how to do that. I hope this video was helpful to those looking to perhaps try their first MMO, or even those who are looking to make a switch from one to another, get a new perspective on the MMO market. In my next video, I'll be taking a look at the type of content available in each game, which I believe will be a fairly hefty video as each game has quite a bit to offer. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.